Now, how do we structure a film? The way we start with every script is we start by refining the concept. I work a lot with the NFEF. We work on the master's program. We develop filmmakers, feature films. And the first thing we do is we work on the concept. And we rework the concept. Sometimes I will spend, like on a show like Intersections, we spent about 4 or 5 months working on the concept of non-linear. In Intersections, remember, if those who saw it, there was no, we had every week changing characters. A steeps with B, B steeps with C, C steeps with D. We had the top, we had DJ Mo, Mandisa and Cabello, and we came back to them 24 episodes later. In between, it kept on varied, looking at the sexual change. So that's what you call a non-linear, not a straight line, flashback narrative. Very complicated. People said, no, South Africans will never get it because they're not clever enough. I said, bullshit. South Africans will get it. Because every audience, if you're in Mpumalanga, New York, Johannesburg, Chile, everybody's IQ and EQ goes up. So everybody's a psychic genius. So where you start off with is you come up with a single dramatic issue. And a dramatic issue, and please write this down because this is important note-taking. A dramatic issue is like a life principle. A life principle. Jealousy. Power. What is Romeo and Juliet's dramatic issue? What is the one thing that story is about? It's about love, is it not? Now when Bill Shakespeare sat down at his like second-hand Apple machine to type, what did he say to himself? He said, you know what, I'm going to write a story about love. I'm going to put this here. Then he said to himself, how many love stories have been written? Thousands and thousands. But he said, I want to give mine a little bit more vuma. I want to make it a little bit more special. So his dramatic issue was love, and then he said, how can I come up with a good controlling idea? How can I take love to the furthest extreme? And he said what? He came up with a controlling idea which takes this life principle and uses the DI, the dramatic issue, in a phrase, a saying, an idiom. What is the counter idea to love? What is the opposite of love? Hate. Okay, so love versus hate. Okay. That's the main idea, and that's the counter idea. A good film has the main idea and its opposite idea active in the story. So he said, okay, love. Okay, love versus hate. Okay, then he thought to himself, okay, wait a second, I've got love conquers, love can conquer hate. Love conquers hate. Yeah, that's not bad, right? Oh, it's not bad. Love can conquer everything, even death. Now that's kick-ass, isn't it? I'm going to write a love story that shows my audience that love is the greatest emotion of all. Romeo dies because he wants to follow Juliet to her death. He wants to go onto the other side where the ancestors are. Correct. And then when she realizes he's dead, she kills herself to follow. So when we walk out of the movie, what are we thinking? You know, there's no God, there's no life after death. Bullshit. We walk out of the movie with our boyfriend or our girlfriend and think, you know what, I wish I was rather involved with somebody like them. Because in the next life, I want to be loved like that. So doesn't the film hold a mirror? A story. It's a beautifully told story. So love conquers all, even death. And we know in the next life that Romeo and Juliet are doing what? Happy bonking. So his film, he says love is my dramatic issue, and I will prove to you, the audience, that love conquers all, even death. Do we see what happens? Do we go to the next life? No. But it's such a good story that he proves this principle. Is the principle of hatred alive in his story? Hell yes. How does the play end? A curse upon both of your houses. Both Montague and Capulet, both are cursed. You are both cursed. Because the two families hate each other, right? So this is what the story of Romeo and Juliet is. It's about how love conquers all, even death. The plot of Romeo and Juliet comes out of what we call the premise. The premise. And the premise is also always a what-if question. And people think that art and writing is not science. In science, what do? You either prove or you disprove a theorem. Or you say, I have a premise. The earth is round. What did the guys do? They worked out shit to prove that it was round. So a good story, like Romeo and Juliet, needs a good premise. So, Shakespeare worked out like this. He said to himself, okay, how can I tell a story about love conquering or even death? Well, what if the son and daughter of two... Does warring have... Now I can't spell. You see, you make me self-conscious. Warring families. Families or tribes fell hopelessly in love. Boom. That's the question. What if the sons and daughters of a Capulet and a Montague, the favorite sons and daughters of two warring families, fell hopelessly in love? Doesn't that like give you the plot of Romeo and Juliet? It gives you the plot instantly, doesn't it? I always say before we start to write the script, we work the stuff out. Because this provides, in a sense, but you've got to plan the journey of your story before you just dive into it. The more you plan, the less heartache you have of realizing that your story's crap and you have to rewrite. The next thing I come up with, or a lot of people come up with, is the tagline. Sometimes they call it the cut line. This is the movie on the line on the poster, the hook that sells the movie.
From aliens in space, no one can hear you scream.
In space, no one can hear you scream. Now in space, no one can hear you scream. Do you want to go and see that movie? Does it give you a taste of what to expect? That tagline says, you are going to be scared. What a man does in this life echoes for eternity. It's Gladiator. But you see how she jumped. Is it Braveheart? Is it Gladiator or Invictus? But we know it's Gladiator. And the movie of Gladiator, the dramatic issue of Gladiator is what? What is the one word? If Romeo and Juliet's about love, what is Gladiator about? What is this dramatic issue? Revenge. A guy will wait for how long to avenge an injustice? Number one, they kill Caesar, or Baba, the rightful struggle royalty king, in a republic. Secondly, what do? They rape and murder and burn his wife and hang his child. And he becomes a slave, correct? But he waits. He waits to do what? It's a right-wing American and Republican film. No wonder those fuckers invaded Iraq. Sorry, I know you don't vote Republican. It's saying revenge is good. We live in a country where we have bullshit. We should have had a bloodbath here. What do we have? We have this funny little TRC, and we have love and forgiveness. We have a miracle here. And he has a film about Old Testament justice. And when he sticks that knife into that, sees a guy's even got a funny lip, he sticks a knife and he stabs the motherfucker slowly in the throat. What are we feeling? We're feeling, yeah. We're going back thousands of years to the Old Testament. The film does that to us. It's a good journey, isn't it? What's the dramatic issue of the movie called Macbeth? Power, greed, ambition. So if you start to write a movie about power, greed, and ambition, you know what's going to happen to you? By page 17, you're going to be dead, because you won't be able to finish the film. Because there can be only one dramatic issue. So is it about power? Is it about greed? Or is it about ambition? It can only be one. Romeo and Juliet is not about tribalism, the Renaissance. It's about one thing. It's about love. So what is Romeo and Juliet really about? You've all read it at school. It's about ambition. Macbeth is about ambition. Think of politics. It's about ambition. So the one-word principle for Macbeth, and I know that does start with an M, is ambition. Shakespeare worked out, I'm going to tell a story about ambition. And the reason why I'm saying your story is about one principle is your job as storyteller is to go deeper and deeper and deeper into one principle and give us a new understanding of that life principle. That's what a storyteller's job is. There was some discussion earlier. Am I disadvantaged because I have not been to AFTA? Am I disadvantaged because I have not been to WITS or RAU or TUT or whatever? Actually, there are no such things. There is no such thing as a disadvantaged storyteller. There is no such thing as a disadvantaged storyteller. Because story is native to all of us. You can be sitting at a school in the morning when you're dropping off your kids, and you can listen to a conversation of one mother saying, you know what happened to me this morning? Okay, you won't believe it. This is how my day started. She starts to tell a story. You're in a taxi. You're in a queue. You listen to a story. My God, the person telling the story has got no qualifications, but they're telling you something and they're giving you the moments, the changes, the turning beats, the major turning points, the setup, the situation, and it feels, it feels just right, the way they've told that story. The key, this teacher says, the screen teacher says, you got many academics, many intellectuals. The rarest gift in the world is a great storyteller. But a good story is, the screenwriting craft is something you've got to learn. You've got to learn how to manipulate a psychic genius. But the raw talent of a story is in all of us. What is the premise of Macbeth? The controlling idea, taking this word and using it in a sentence, it's a line from the play. Ambition that o'erleaps itself destroys everything. What does o'erleap mean? Ambition out of control screws everything up. Now you think about yourself in life, right? You're going to go somewhere in life, except our bearded friend here who's got no ambition, no career. Most of us are trying to get somewhere, right? And we're surrounded by other people also trying to get somewhere. And we think, well, how am I going to get somewhere? Well, if I steal Sipo's script, or if I listen to what she's saying, or how am I going to get where I want to go? In this world, can your talent get you where you want to be? What do we have to do to get ahead?
You have to call.
You've got to make the call. Then they call you. And what in your room like this, full of equally talented people. And there's that one producer called Viva. Now we know, you ask the young man at the back, how do I know if my film is good? It's when producers want to have sex with you. So how do I now get in? I've got to stand on top of you. I've got to play games, push you aside. Huh? Ah, she's black, she doesn't know anything. By any means necessary. We use the race card, we use meanness, we used... Ambition is an ugly thing if it's out of control, is it not? So that's what Shakespeare created. Ambition that out of control destroys everything. That's the controlling idea. It's tight.